My name is Emmanuel Pastreich. I'm a professor at China University, and I serve as director of the Asia Institute here in Seoul. Thank you all for joining us here today for an extremely timely seminar on the most pertinent issue in light of the Seoul Nuclear Summit. That upcoming summit has been advertised as Beyond Security Towards Peace Around the City on broad blue banners. I'm not sure exactly what that phrase means, but it suggests a radical and perhaps rather overdue paradigm shift in the concept of security. That phrase, Beyond Security Towards Peace, brings to mind the work of Albert Einstein in the 1940s and 1950s to address the issue of nuclear technology, which he perceived as a terrible dilemma born of his own research. Einstein held that technology has now evolved to the point at which we have no choice but to find some means of preserving global peace because the dangers of technology have become that great. He was thinking about the dangers of nuclear weapons. Of course, the number of technologies in that category have increased exponentially. The Asia Institute here was established as a new think tank, congruent with the needs of an increasingly integrated Asia, an Asia in which Korea plays a critical role. In a sense, all of our work is tied to international relations, but we've chosen to approach that issue primarily in terms of technology and its impact on society, and in terms of the complex interplay between technology and the environment and energy. We also hope to continue to have more events like this, bringing Asia together and experts from around the world to talk about the issues of our time. So we will talk today a little bit about North Korea and its nuclear program, and imagine what would be the issues if we actually were talking with North Korea again, which might happen, about nuclear power and security issues in earnest. Back in October of 1994, when dinosaurs roamed the Earth, the United States and the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, North Korea, signed an agreed framework under which North Korea promised to freeze and ultimately dismantle its nuclear program. Since then, however, that dialogue has broken down. North Korea withdrew in 2003 from the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty and has been in isolation since that time. So we have brought together some very important speakers today. The first is Dr. Kim Young-ja, president of Green Korea 21, an NGO working on issues in energy, technology, the environment, and other issues. And also, Dr. Kim serves as chairman of the Korean Federation of Women's Science and Technology Associations. She was formerly National Assembly member and Minister of the Environment, and is among, in the political world, the most knowledgeable person on science issues. Dr. Sok Chol Kim is a senior researcher at the Korean Institute for Nuclear Safety, an expert on nuclear emergency and security issues, working on nuclear safety assessment for nuclear installations. Sharon Spasoni is director of the Proliferation Prevention Program at CSIS. She worked previously advising the United States Congress on issues of weapons of mass destruction, and also as Director of Policy Coordination for the Non-Proliferation Bureau at the State Department of the United States. And finally, Dr. Scott Snyder, Senior Fellow for Korean Studies and Director of the Program in U.S.-Korea Policy at the Council on Foreign Relations, is one of the most informed Korea watchers in Washington, D.C., and the author of several major books, most recently U.S.-Korea Security Alliance, Meeting New Challenges, and previously China's Rise and the Two Koreas, Politics, Economy, and Security, and of course his classic Negotiating on the Edge, North Korean Negotiating Behavior. So let's then start our discussion.
All options at its disposal. And so putting resources into place that would realistically be able to accomplish that objective, I think is an important component of a strategy that might underscore the seriousness of purpose that the U.S. would have, especially as it relates to making the U.S. offer credible to the Chinese and to the North Koreans. And then I think a third component of a strategy should be to prepare for monitoring. If indeed the president decides not to take the satellite launch off the pad, but as has been the case in the past, we've observed what the North Koreans have actually done in terms of a test. This one is actually more complicated because it seems that they're likely to use a different launch site. The North Koreans have indicated that they may try to avoid launching, across Japan. And so this is very interesting because if you look at the trajectory that they're thinking about, it's a southerly trajectory, and it's actually one that overflies China and heads towards the South China Sea. And we all know the South China Sea has been a source of controversy between the U.S. and China. It actually potentially makes the task of doing monitoring more challenging as well. But the other piece that I think we realized that we needed from 2009 that was not in place was actually there's a lot of capability to do this kind of monitoring. The U.S. Navy has capability, the Japanese have capability, and the South Koreans have capability. But what they don't have is a combined capability to share that information with each other. U.S. and Japan certainly can share, U.S. and Korea can share, but Korea and Japan are constrained by the fact that they don't have intelligence sharing or cross-services capabilities. And this is a subject that has come up in the past. I think it's something that the U.S. should be pushing right now as part of an adequate response to the prospect of satellite launch, and also as a signal to the Chinese that deterioration of security as it relates to North Korea pursuing this path carries with it cost, provides extra motivation to the Chinese to be engaged in this effort in a very positive way. And so I would like to see all of those issues be part of the discussion next week. And then, following that discussion, I would expect to see senior officials from the Obama administration visiting Beijing. And I would offer to send senior representatives from North Korea to put this on the table, all in advance of April 12th. And so that's what I've meant at the beginning. I said, very tight time frame. But if we don't want to repeat the past, I think that this would be one strategy that could be pursued that would put the onus on North Korea to make a different decision. It would give them a viable way out that also meets some of their needs. And it might provide a path back to moving forward with the February 24th agreement, which actually contains in it the seeds of some progress. One last point. I think the area that the priority that we have really failed to deal with on the U.S. side as it relates to proliferation in North Korea is the vertical proliferation challenge. And so the issue of how to address this increased process by which the North Koreans might increase their capability to deliver a nuclear device is really, in my view, a critical area where we have not been able to find a way to make progress or have any success. And so, the other factor on this issue is that this could be the opening for a deeper discussion with the North Koreans related to that set of issues. So I'll stop there.
For casualties, the TMI accident had significant implications because it occurred in the U.S., the most advanced technology nation. At that point, the U.S. decided to build only 53 out of the 129 reactors it had approved while all the others were cancelled. So, in a word, in essence, one important lesson of the Chernobyl and Fukushima accidents is that what can happen as a result of an accident can also happen as a result of a premeditated action. I will stop here and I will focus on how the safety of nuclear power plants is related to nuclear security after hearing our panelists, after hearing what our panelists have to say. Thank you. I'll stop here.
So I think we will now proceed in a free manner. If the panelists would like to make a response, please do. If someone from the audience would like to ask a question, just raise your hand. Any immediate responses?
Actually, I have a question for our two distinguished Korean commentators, and that is about South Korean public opinion toward nuclear energy post-Fukushima. And I think that it was already mentioned this morning, the issue with regards to stopping one of the Korean reactors, the Kodi reactor, earlier this year. And I know that seeped into the public discussion, but I'm not sure what the impact of that has been so far.
I don't know this is I'm not exactly this is the right position to talking about this is current situation. But the bioorganization is responsible for that. But still system on the way to this is the investigation of root cause and other failure of the safety culture problems. But this in terms of this safety point of view, this is 12 minutes of this SBO is not the case. But the real problem is two systems. The failure of this safety culture. This they can bring some the real big events or real big accidents. So. And public opinion point of view is this this is the more getting worse in terms of this is the public acceptance of nuclear power. So this is this is the nuclear industry since TMI Chernobyl, we have some kind of this sort of this cognitive dissonance problem. This is the engineers and other nuclear industry sector says, okay, nuclear power plant is the most robust structure on the earth, on the planet. But the accident is not caused from this hardware. This is we call this some depends index. Depends index is the multiple layer of to protect prevention to mitigation the consequences. But I would say this is a final depends index is human being. So this is the I can mention about this current situation is not in the case of the hardware. This is for the some sort of this safety culture issues and the management issues. Yes.
But would you agree that the safety culture issue